5, in 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here comes the dust.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you can see this big black cloud just coming in over where the sands once stood. We are going to be inundated in just a second. We see people stepping back, their face masks. Actually, it looks like it's blowing a little bit away from us. That could be a good sign, but we will no doubt have a huge cloud. That was just incredible.
That's amazing. I'm all the way across the street over here at the Mirage, and it is just funneling our way here. This is really amazing. It's unbelievable, the amount of dust.
And here it comes.
I'm up at the 7th floor here, and this is well above my head.
And now the entire lot where sands once stood is obscured by all of the dust. It will soon be settling, I'm sure, all over us down here. It was quite an incredible explosion. And the thump, did you hear the thump and feel it in your chest, Ann?
I've experienced a few earthquakes out in California, and that felt to me like an earthquake. If I wasn't standing right here, I would have probably thought that it was. And yeah, that's a pretty heavy shake. We recorded this as it was going down. If we can roll that again, and we'll take a peek at just what happened. See some people pretty joyous and excited in the foreground there.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh. And there it goes. And there the sands sign is one of the last to go.
And there it goes.
Very sad. $1.8 billion new resort. Is that right, Ann?
That's exactly right. That's going to be a huge, huge hotel and casino. They say the world's largest. It's going to be absolutely amazing what they have in mind out there.
Now the Rosewood Grill folks out here are very excited to get the new neighbors, but of course they have those mixed emotions, saying goodbye to their good neighbor, the Sands, and making way for the new mega resort. Wow, those are just incredible pictures.
There's our eye in the sky view. Unbelievable.
And there was that delay. There were the first round of explosions, and then the delay, and then the more explosions, and then down it came. Just like that.
The implosion of the Sands Hotel. This is an Eyewitness News special report.
Couple more angles that we want to show you on this. First of all, we have blast cam. For those of you with us on the landmark, remember this camera, it survived the landmark implosion. This is underneath the fall path of the hotel, and we are expected to sacrifice our camera. It is probably going to die in this explosion, but of course, we've been saying that for multiple other implosions, and here it is still with us, a fine Sony camera. We also have mast cam. This is a camera attached to the 50-foot level of our microwave mast, looking at the sands, and we're going to get a very tight angle of the sign as it literally falls from the sky for the very last time. So blast cam and mast cam are there. We are here with about 50 people. Above the scene right now, News 13's Mark Martinez, who is in live for 13. Mark, how does it look from up there?
Well, Mark, we do have a pretty good bird's eye view up here. We're at about 1,500 feet above the ground right now, and we can see some of the street closures already going into effect that our reporters on the ground have been telling us about. We also see Metro's chopper that's down there. They're at about 200 feet. They're buzzing the area, making sure that no one has gotten inside of this perimeter. They're using some heat-seeking equipment to make sure that, once again, that nobody will be inside once this the Sands Hotel does go down. And we see a lot of activity, a lot of red and blue flashing lights down there as we assume they are getting ready to start blocking off the streets for this final implosion. And we will, of course, be covering that from the sky and the dust cloud that will follow. For now, we're going to send it into Ken and Kathy, who are inside the studios, and we'll be back up here, of course, when the implosion happens.
You're going to have a great view from there, Mark.
A great view and a safe view with no dust.
Oh, that's right. Speaking of dust, just to feel a part of it, you should know that Mark Sayre was nice enough to leave us one of these. Perhaps we'll share it this evening.
Just in case the dust comes this far.
Exactly, but we do have our very own, as he called it, gas mask, but it is a little dust mask that everybody is wearing out there this evening. to feel a part of this historical event that's taking place.
Right.
Now, very often, an implosion and a Hollywood film crew go hand in hand.
Now, the landmark implosion will be immortalized next month on the silver screen in the movie Mars Attacks. Even though no film crew is actually taking advantage of tonight's Sands implosion, the movie Con Air, starring Nicolas Cage and John Cusack, has already used the famous hotel. A few weeks back, an airplane was careened into the base of the Sands, a crash on the Strip, and the movie is filled with the air chase scenes throughout the valley. In March, the Sands crash will be coming to a theater near you. So, exactly how is the Sands going to be brought down?
Well, we want to go back out live to Mark Sayer. He is in the blast zone. And Mark, you understand you've got the inside story and how this is going to happen tonight.
Indeed, I do, Kathy. You're kind of scaring me by reminding me that we're in the blast zone all the time, and indeed we are, but I'll take the warning, and hopefully we're prepared for it. Well, the team that is bringing down the Sands is no stranger to Las Vegas. It is Controlled Demolition Incorporated. They're based out of Maryland, one of the world's largest companies for implosions. They are responsible for both of the Dunes Towers and also the Landmark. Here's a look.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The Landmark.
It's not down yet, damn it.
The Dunes Old Tower. The Dunes New Tower.
3, 2, 1, fire.
No city is blowing out the old and bringing in the new like Las Vegas. And while the implosion team is under strict orders to keep advance publicity to a minimum, you can plainly see their work. Black bulletproof bands cover dynamite, which has been placed into holes drilled into strategic support beams. The team controls the speed and direction of the fall by the placement of the charges and the timing sequence of each detonation. Now, this videotape is of me back in 1993. I've been telling you about this dust cloud. This is what the dust cloud looked like during the implosion of the Sands. We were at ground zero, a lot like being in a light snowfall. Another sensation under the cloud is just how dark it gets if you are enveloped. I mean, it is the middle of the night right now, but if you can believe it, when these clouds descend, any lights that you see around you from local street posts or even our television lights, they literally just disappear, and you no longer even have any sense of direction. It is a very uncanny experience in many ways, and something which we are expecting to feel again and experience again as this tower falls. Now, as for the company Controlled Demolition Incorporated, they are not done with Las Vegas yet, Ken and Kathy. Of course, the Hacienda down on the south end of the Strip, that is set for implosion on New Year's Eve, and they are expecting a crowd of over 100,000 people to watch that. So it seems like every month they're out here from Maryland to blow something else up in Las Vegas. Back to you.
And that's going to be, what, at 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, yeah, 12 midnight Eastern time. And the reason they're doing that is they're timing it very deliberately to try to get on as many of the national broadcasts as possible. They are under strict orders. More publicity is better publicity. And in this case, they're under strict orders. Less publicity is better publicity. In fact, they wouldn't even give us an on-camera interview today. And that is the first time in implosion history in the past 4 years that they have not talked to us on Implosion Day.
Mark, you're going to be in the midst of all this dust. Should residents and perhaps tourists who are out there, should people be concerned about possible ill effects, health effects from this dust?
Basically, you just need to use common sense. We came prepared, every one of us on our crew here. We've got our filter masks and our goggles and our ponchos, and actually some of this was actually provided to me by the Mirage folks back in 1993. And obviously, you don't want to breathe this stuff in during the course of just windstorms here. We talk about PM10, particulate matter, and how bad it is to be inhaling that. Well, this is particulate matter like you've never seen it, and we're going to show it to you, and we're going to be in it. And if you don't have to be in it, it's probably not a very good idea.
It's a bunch of nasty dirt.
Yeah, nasty is right.
All righty. Thank you very much, Mark Sayer. Be safe. We'll check back with you in a little bit.
And this implosion, of course, isn't going to be easy. With a look at how the Sands Tower was built and how it's going to come down, here is Steve Krupe. Hi again, Steve.
Hey, Ken, everything's a go still for our 2 a.m. countdown. And the tower that you see behind me out there wasn't always there. And in fact, it wasn't even original Sands, which opened back in 1952. Originally, the Sands was a bunch of low-rise, two-story bungalows, and then in the early 60s, the co-owners got together and they started building what would become, at that time, the tallest building in Las Vegas, the tallest tower on the Strip for many years. And there it goes up, piece by piece, floor by floor. At the very top, the name Danny Thomas was up there, Joey Bishop on the marquee, floor by floor. At the very top, the name Danny Thomas was up there, Joey Bishop on the marquee. You'll see he was one of the performers at the time. And then in 1965, the Sands Tower opened, and that's how it looked as it came together back in the mid-60s. Quite a little historical moment. We've got all sorts of little historical vignettes to give you a flavor of what the Sands was like in its heyday, including the entertainment. Robin Burke's been following that. We'll switch now live to Robin.
Thanks, Steve. You know, there are 36 suites and 702 rooms in the Sands, but there's really only one room worth mentioning, and there was no room like the Copa Room. Obviously, that was not it, and hopefully we can get that back for you on here pretty soon. There were names like Nat King Cole. Danny Thomas, in fact, was the first name ever to be put on the marquee. It was the famous place for the Rat Pack, of course, and hopefully, do we have that tape? Okay, we're going to go back to Steve Krupe now.
Okay, Robin, what you were actually looking at in that videotape that you saw was a time capsule. You saw people putting things inside this time capsule, which was buried into the ground back in 1953 on the one-year anniversary of the Sands. And they tell us that that time capsule has been recovered. It's been pulled from the ground out there at the Sands, and that they're holding it in a safe place until they build the new resort out there, a $1.8 billion mega resort, and that Sands time capsule will be put back into the ground. Here you see it, folks putting things in it, stars putting their autographs on it. The writing on there says that the capsule would be buried amid the sands of time to be reopened 100 years from 1953. That would put it at the year 2053. And there it goes, the time capsule machine. They pressed some buttons. They launched the time capsule, and whoosh, down into the ground it went. It was quite a time back then. They really played things up in a way that we don't often do in these modern days. So that time capsule, they're going to put it back in the ground and perhaps dug up back in 2053. So we're going to send it back to Robin Burke and get more on the entertainers who performed at the Sands. Robin?
Thanks, Steve. We are definitely going to try this again. Once again, let's take you back to December 1952 when the star line heading on the marquee was Danny Thomas. This was the very first show in the famed Copa Room, December 1952, with Danny Thomas as the featured performer. That was just the beginning, though, of what would become the most unforgettable lineup of entertainers in Las Vegas history.
Unforgettable. That's what you are.
Nat King Cole performed at the Sands. So did Chubby Checker, as well as some spectacular opening acts, like the Clark Brothers. But of course, the biggest showbiz bonanza was provided by a trio of entertainers known as the Rat Pack.
What a nut.
Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Frank Sinatra. A time in Las Vegas history that will never be repeated, and it's something that just really has the Sands Hotel at the heart of so many entertainers. They loved playing here, and a lot of them sent letters on the last day here at the Sands saying how sad they were to see that Las Vegas couldn't see fit to let it stand. But that's not going to happen, as we all know. That doesn't happen around here. The new mega resort will be coming in soon. Back to you guys in the studio.
Alrighty, Robin Burke reporting live. Have fun out there. Watch it. It's coming your way.
Yeah, be careful.
Well, now the amazing implosion is just a little more than 5 minutes away.
And as you can see, we have more cameras, more angles of the Sands implosion than you can even imagine. Here's a look at our exclusive balcony cam. This will give you a look at the implosion that you won't see anywhere else. It's on the top floor of the Sands, and you'll get to experience the Sands tumbling down.
But that isn't the only camera up our sleeve, so to speak. Yes, we have a resurrected blast cam. It is positioned to have the hotel fall right on top of it. And what you're looking at right now is from Live Chopper 13. You will get the aerial view, and that will be spectacular. We promise that. There are 9 other cameras around the Sands as well. There's blast cam. Now, there you go. Blast cam is situated underneath. So when that baby falls, it is coming right toward
the building will fall on top of this camera.
Just as it did with the landmark, and it survived.
The camera survived.
That's
we'll
right.
See if it survives
just keeps on ticking. We're going right now. There is a street level camera right there. I believe Mr.
Right
Gieser
behind
was
that
out.
Hotel sign there that you see in
the
middle.
little
There's
tam.
the Sands.
We're going up to mast cam right now. Again, we'll give you a little higher view, a little aerial view. You've got the big sand sign that within 5 minutes will no longer be standing. And that is absolutely unbelievable.
Incredible.
So what we're going to do right now is we're going to get on with it.
Okay.
We want to go ahead and show you all those, the map, and that's really covering from all different angles, 12 different angles.
It's surrounded, and we're going back to Steve Krupe now, and what I'm calling Krupe Cam. Are you ready, Steve, for the show?
We are ready. We've been preparing for it all night and now into the morning. And we just heard that the blast engineers have given an 8-minute warning. So it looks like it's going to go off a minute or two past 2 a.m. 8 minutes is what we heard just a few seconds ago. And, of course, from high above, we're keeping an eye on things. Mark Martinez is up there in Live Chopper 13. Mark.
Well, that's right, Steve. We've been joined up here by some other helicopters as well, so attracting a lot of attention from the sky. Now, we can also tell you it's kind of windy up here right now. We're feeling it about 10 or 15 miles an hour, and it's quite cold. And we're also noticing some people in their hotel rooms have a lot of lights on, so I don't know if we have the best view in the house. I think I'd rather be inside one of those warm suites watching this. But that's the view from Live Chopper 13. Now back to you on the ground, Steve.
Monitor the countdown. The countdown now probably around 7 minutes and counting at last word. And our very own Mark Sayer has been monitoring things from within the blast zone. He's right down as close as a human can get to the base of the building. Mark?
Well, Steve, we've seen a lot of balcony cam. I was on the crew on Sunday that went up and put balcony cam up. And just to describe a little bit about what the inside of the building looks like, we were not allowed to take any pictures in there, but literally you go up 16 floors and there are bathtubs on every level. There are walls that are knocked out. I mean, this, one of the 7 biggest hotels in Las Vegas just 40 years ago. And you're now looking at a live picture of balcony cam about 200 feet off the ground or so. And it was almost sad to go through there and to see what used to be such a tremendous symbol of Las Vegas, and literally to see toilets and bathtubs on the stairwells and in the halls, and engineers drilling holes in to put their explosives in. We can also tell you that the blast engineers say they've never really seen a building quite reinforced like this. They believe that the Sands was built before the latest studies of earthquake engineering had been conducted, and so they really reinforced this thing, and they indicated, the blast officials indicated, that they really had to get in there and drill extensively to put their dynamite in. And they almost couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that something in Nevada, 200 miles from Southern California, which is known for earthquake area, would be so reinforced. But they're in there, and they believe that everything is all set. The building is going to fall to the northeast, directly toward us. And with the winds that you heard Mark Martinez talking about, we are expecting the dust cloud to come right over us.
All right, that's Mark Sayer down inside the blast zone. And we haven't heard an update on the countdown, although we believe we're about 5 minutes or less away from the implosion. Our Mike Gieser is down on street level. He's been following things, the view you'll get from the Strip. Mike, take it away.
Yeah, Steve, in a scene reminiscent of New Year's Eve, the Strip has been closed from Spring Mountain all the way down to Harrah's. But if you look past me, you can see that police have set up tape across the road, and people have now been allowed all the way up to the tape. So we are going to move up as well. Some plans plans do not always go as according to what they were drawn up as a couple weeks ago, and you can see that now. People are now being let much more forward than we were told earlier. People have also taken their places in front of Treasure Island, and you can see some of those folks. They are not leaving for anything, despite the cool weather. The temperature has dropped. These folks have lined up, and they're ready to see another Las Vegas show. Steve?
All right, Mike, we have just minutes left in the history of the Sands Hotel. We believe there may be a slight delay as the Implosion crew and the county fire folks make sure that area is clear of anyone who does not belong in that area. Robin Burke has a good view of the back portion of the hotel back there. Robin, how does it look from your vantage point?
Well, the interesting thing for a first-time implosion person right here is that they have taken jackhammers and they have actually made the back side of the sands weaker so that it can come down easier, I suppose. You can see where the black spots are. They're on the tower. That is where the dynamite is, so it is definitely going to be coming in this direction. They've also have a lot of the fire department in the back side of it here, trying to keep that dust cloud under control, as well as huge fans that they're going to be using. We haven't seen anybody moving around like we had just even a few minutes earlier down there in the bottom portion. Obviously part of the blast crews working on it from down there. This is definitely a good vantage point, and people are coming out of their hotels onto the balconies trying to check it out. Probably like me, this is their first time, and it's going to be a little interesting and maybe even a little bit scary. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Robin, as I mentioned, one of the things they're concerned about is the people around the edge there. Robin, do you see any people milling around out there that don't look like they belong?
Up here where I am, there are a few people and out on their balconies, as I said, and we are just maybe a building or so away, but they're definitely behind where they're supposed to be from the barricades. From what I can see from the street. There are also a lot of people in front of Treasure Island that are looking, and I also noticed that they covered up the Siegfried and Roy statues, so even they're being covered, and I don't see a lot of people out here with masks or anything to cover their heads, so that's something that they may regret later.
All right, Robin, that's Robin Burke. She's got a great view of the building, as do we all out here. I'm standing in the VIP viewing area. That's atop one of the parking garages at the Mirage Hotel. We've just been informed that they are holding the countdown now at 2 minutes. That's T-minus 2 minutes to implosion of the Sands Hotel. And let's send it right now back up to Mark Martinez, who is high above in Live Chopper 13. Mark.
Yes, Steve, we just got into position here in Live Chopper 13, getting ready to watch the implosion up here. We also have noticed a lot of traffic backup around the area, especially on Sands and around the Strip, of course, as the police have the area blocked off. But you can definitely see down there that the excitement is building. It's very chilly up here, and there is quite a bit of a wind, about 15 miles an hour, but hopefully that won't cause too much of a problem for them tonight. Back down to you, Steve.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Mark Martinez in Live Chopper 13. Now, as we've been showing you all night long, we have an incredible view from the very top floor balcony of the Sands Hotel. It's mounted way up there in one of the very big penthouse suites, way up at the top. And that's how it looks, as if you were standing up there tonight in suite number 6808. Of course, we hope the whole building is vacant at this moment. Infrared sensors are being used to make sure they do not detect any human beings who should be on the property or in the building at this hour. It's a critical moment where they want to make sure that all the blast charges are ready to go and that the area is safe. Our Mark Sayer is down inside that blast zone. Let's go to Mark.
And right now we are at the 2-minute and holding mark. We're monitoring the blast officials on our handheld scanners. Right now what they're doing is they are moving the fire department away. Anytime you move the fire department away, that means that something is about to happen here. We are at a 2-minute hold at this point. I have put on my poncho and my glasses and my mask, and I must say I've received some chuckles from people who are laughing at, well, look how absurd he looks and he's overreacting. But this will be my 4th implosion, and I can tell you, when this thing comes down with a slight wind blowing to the northeast, which is what is happening right now, we are going to be inundated. And just imagine what it's like, literally brushing up the dust off your kitchen floor, and you're breathing in, and it's bad, and you want to get outside and get some clear air. Well, imagine 45 years of dust, dirt, and debris coming down literally almost right on top of you. That is exactly what we are expecting. This is our blast cam. This is a camera which is, we believe, directly in the path of the hotel. Based on what the fire engineers tell us about how the tower is going to fall, this is going to fall directly on top of our camera. we are prepared to sacrifice the camera. It is a camera that has been very good to us and has been through 3 previous implosions, and despite having massive 400 and 500-foot structures fall on it, miraculously it has managed to survive, and every time the demolition crews go in, they manage to pull out our camera and give it back to us and make room for yet another implosion. So, Steve, we are in the blast zone. The police have come in and cleared out all spectators and all people who are not properly attired and ready to go, and we are ready for the dust cloud. Back to you.
All right, Mark, the latest word we have is we are at 1 minute and holding. T-minus 1 minute and holding. They are checking their seismographic sensors.
Are you clear? I'm clear.
We're getting the clear signals now. We're going to get ready for implosion here. As you take a look at the sands,
Chuck, are you clear?
you hear the blast engineers giving clear signals. They're going around to all the members of the blast team, controlled demolition.
Clear.
They've done many buildings. And now they're getting ready for another piece of Las Vegas history.
Walk out of the alleyway.
There's our exclusive balcony cam. We will ride the building down. Getting another time warning now from CDI, controlled demolition. Folks watching from the strip. All eyes are glued. You may hear a siren now. That's one of the initial warning sirens. That's to make sure that everyone is clear from the street. It's the last chance for anyone who's in there to get out now. That's the view from mast cam, the upper balcony. There's live chopper 13.
Chuck, are you clear? Chuck is clear. Doug, are you clear? Doug's clear. Mark and Adrian, are you clear?
Again, the blast engineers making sure everything is
Dale,
clear.
are you clear? Yes. Tom, are you clear? This is the 1 minute siren.
Now we're about to get another siren, again at 1 minute and holding. There's the siren. 1 minute to the end of the sands. Back in its heyday in the early 50s and into the 60s, it was the place to be on the Strip. In moments, it won't be there anymore.
CDI, we're 30 seconds out.
You will not want to blink. 30 seconds out. They say the whole building should fall top to bottom in under
Tommy,
10 seconds.
Doug, are you clear? Doug's clear. Mark and Adrian, are you clear? Clear. Warm the machine up. Tell me when you're in the red.
They're warming up the dynamite. You'll see charges fire at the base. We'll get a countdown. You will hear the countdown. And then charges will fire higher up in the building as it pancakes down.
Mark, you in the red? We're all set. Stacy?
All set.
Okay, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire. That looks wonderful, guys. Look real pretty.
You heard it. The blast engineers saying it looked wonderful. After 44 years, the sands has succumbed. We could really feel the rumble from up here. You heard the first round of blasts, and then a second round went off. And like they told us that like a woodcutter would bring down a giant tree, they hacked out the back side of the hotel so it fell backwards towards the Strip, and now that dust cloud is sweeping toward the north. and towards some of our camera positions there. And of course, we've been telling you all night long about our exclusive balcony cam. We rode the building down as the blast occurred. We've got that tape ready to go. There, you can feel blast number 1. Pieces falling, and down it went. The camera didn't last very long. That initial blast seemed to demolish our camera almost instantly, but it was fun. We were up there in luxury suite number 6808, literally on the final second of the sands. Now, our second camera, we had the camera that was positioned behind the hotel underneath as we waited for the tower to literally fall on top of our camera. This is how it looks. Again, the blast went off, and there you can see the charges going up the back side of the hotel. This is the back side facing the side that faces east. It hung there for a moment, and then the other charges went off, and down it came. Whoa, look at that cloud of dust. Amid that cloud of dust right now is our own Mark Sayer. He's inside the blast zone. Mark, what was it like?
Steve, as usual.
Is our own Mark Sayer. He's inside the blast zone. Mark, what was it like?
Steve, as usual, it was unbelievable, and the cloud of dust is just now reaching us. It managed to hold short, it seems, maybe about 10 or 15 feet, but the mist is just reaching us, and again, like a snowfall, it actually smells very acrid, like a fire, like something perhaps has burned and is now descending upon us. So a little bit is being filtered out by my mask. I hope you can see this in front of me. We literally have just turned night into additional night, to more night, to additional blackness. It is really quite an experience right now. We're going to take another look at mast cam. This was from the top of our 50-foot microwave mast, focusing on the sands. And there it goes, dropping out of the skyline for the first, last, and only time. So the dust cloud has descended upon us. It is not quite as thick as the dust cloud that we experienced at the dunes, comparable to what we experienced at the landmark, but it is definitely here. And I feel like I'm in Utah going skiing. We're going to take a look at balcony cam once again. This is from the 15th or 16th floor of the sands. Looks like an earthquake. And it didn't last very long, and believe me, it took a whole lot of time to put that thing up there, and we're hoping we get 5 or 10 seconds out of that. This looks like about what we got. High above the whole situation is News 13's Mark Martinez in live Chopper 13. Mark, how's it look from up there?
Well, Mark, you can actually see that that cloud of dust and debris actually starting to dissipate. We saw it move to the north right after the implosion, but it didn't seem to stick around too long, though you're down in it and we're up above it, so it's easy for me to say. But it was quite spectacular. I don't know if we have the video of the actual implosion from live Chopper 13, but we've seen some great views from the ground. Here you can see from the sky cam a view of the implosion there. You see that dust cloud. But once again, we say it's not nearly what we saw with the landmark and the other implosions around here, Mark. I don't know how it compares on the ground, but it's quickly starting to move out of the way with the 15-mile-an-hour winds we have up here. Now, here's the video actually from live Chopper 13 that we saw earlier. As you see, there's the sands just a few seconds before, and there it goes down. That was our view from here. It's amazing how quickly history can go down. There you see that dust cloud starting to move to the north. And right now, we can come back to a live shot. You can see it's pretty much gone. That's the view from live Chopper 13. Now back to you, Mark.
Pretty much gone indeed. We're going to take another look at our mast cam as we punch up what it looks like right now, and we are going to pan around to our position. The dust, just like Mark said, is dissipating very fast. We have a small wind, perhaps of 5 miles an hour blowing, and you see the bright lights down there. That is us, and you can barely see us. Fred, if you can get a tight shot of my handheld scanner here, we're going to give you a look at exactly what we're talking about and all the dust that we had. You can see literally the dust on the radio here, and this is all from what just occurred. And we're going to have to clean the radio, obviously. But we seem to have come through here relatively unscathed. We did get it, but we did not get pummeled, which is a good thing and something which we have been in the past, which is pummeled. And believe me, it's not very fun. Robin Burke is about 300 yards to my north. Robin, how'd it look from your perspective?
Mark, it went straight in back of the sands. It didn't come in our direction at all. It went straight north. Actually, I feel pretty lucky. And it wasn't a white cloud like we saw with the landmark either. It was kind of a really dark gray cloud, and it has already dissipated, as you can see. When it first happened, you couldn't see the lights at all across the way. You couldn't see the Harris sign or anything. It was completely a dark cloud, blacked out. As you can see, already we can read the signs. It's dissipated very quickly up into the air and back to the north. Also across the strip a ways, it's gotten pretty heavy over there as well, but not what I expected, and I must say that I'm happy that it didn't come in this direction. There's a lot of people out here who are watching it without masks, without any protective gear, and this way it just really worked out. Back to you. Geiser? Mike Geiser, are you there on the street?
Okay, I'm hearing that we are now down on the street. I apologize for that. The dust is just now reaching us after all this time. We are in front of Treasure Island, and with the smoke drifting over us, you might think the pirate show just ended, but it did not. The sands just came down instead. They are about to open up the strip right now. That's why we are moving right now and trying to get out of the way. But a lot of the people who were down here kind of droned when there was that delay, thinking, oh, this didn't happen. Then the sands finally went down, and the reaction from everyone here, were the normal oohs and ahs. But for a split second, people were wondering if this was going to happen or not. And these are the people who were down on the strip taking a look behind the police tape. And finally, you heard the cheers and the excitement from the crowd. All in all, everyone seemed excited. A couple people walked by and said, awesome. So as far as Las Vegas shows go, I think this ranked up there with some of the best.
All right, thank you very much. That's Mike Geiser live down on strip level. We are in the VIP viewing area. There were hundreds of people up here on the top level of one of the Mirage parking garages. And right now behind me, you can see all that is left of the sands. There is still a small cloud of dust hovering over the area. And out there in the middle, a large pile of rubble that seems to be still standing about 30 or 40 feet into the air. It will take them a matter of days to cart that all off in big trucks. They'll take it out. Some will be recycled. Some will be just put in a landfill. And then they'll clear the area, getting ready for the future of the sands, which will be a $1.8 billion mega resort called the Venetian. It will be quite different from this. This, again, the final moments from room 6808, the top floor balcony. This is slowed down, and you can see a lot more debris than we were told to expect up there on the balcony. We were hoping we might be able to ride the building down a little more, but wow, what an ending. What a checkout to the final stay in that room. Mark Sayer is still down in the blast zone. Mark, it looks like the cloud is clearing a little bit.
The cloud is clearing indeed, and we're beginning to see things that we were never able to see from this perspective before. As I get out of the way, take a look at the Harris sign. The Harris sign was not visible from this perspective before the implosion of the sands. Now it is plainly visible. We can also see the Mirage sign across the street, another sign that we couldn't see, and you can still see in that shot the lingering dust cloud. It is certainly clearing out, but indeed it is still in this area. Now, two other things to talk about here. One, the noise. The noise, make no mistake about it, it was deafening. There were a series of explosions that were extremely loud. People here plugging their ears, things shaking, a tremendous thundering. And also there are many hotel rooms around here and adjacent hotels that look up at the sands. And one of the things that was very interesting to see is at the moment you saw the first flashes of light, flash bulbs went off. Thousands of flash bulbs from, it seemed, every window in every hotel in any way surrounding the sands. People obviously here, they're on vacation, they want to take a look at what's going on. They figure what a better free show in Las Vegas than the implosion of the sands, and indeed that is what they got. Steve?
All right, Mark, quite a show indeed. You mentioned the sound. You could feel it literally in your gut. It's the same thing we felt on the other implosions, although this one might not have been as spectacular from a firepower and pyrotechnic perspective. You really feel it when those charges go off, and even from here, 150 yards away or so, it was very powerful indeed, and especially when they started ratcheting up the building then, and then there were those few seconds where you weren't quite sure whether the building was going to come down or not, and then boom, another round of charges went off, and that's what brought it down as the tower came pancaking to the ground in 10 seconds or so from the moment when it started falling. Mark Sayer, let's go back to you, back down there in the blast zone.
Well, Steve, I have some tremendous news for you. It doesn't look like much to you, but this is a live picture from our blast cam. We have tried to destroy this camera in 4 implosions. It is still alive and kicking. Blast cam has survived a 4th hotel being dropped upon it. Here is blast cam. We designed this so the hotel would fall directly on top of our camera. We thought every time we did this that the camera would be obliterated, and this is even a slow-mo view. That gives you a real good look at the explosion. And here comes the hotel. It looks like the sign right on top of our camera. And as we punch up blast cam again, it does not seem too significant, but the Sony Corporation, which makes this, believe it or not, when they had one of their big shows here last year, was so impressed that blast cam survived the implosion of the landmark that they actually requested us to put it on display for them at their major trade show, which indeed we did, and narrated a little history for them. And going through the show with the 200,000 exhibitors there, without question, it was one of the top attractions. People were stopping, they were looking and saying, I can't believe a hotel has fallen on this camera, and it's still going. And again, yet another hotel has fallen on blast cam. And Steve, I know you and blast cam have a long history.